All right, welcome to Pass the Mic. It is Friday, October 25th, the final episode of October 2024, episode 135. Mike Piotti here on Zoom, Michael Gervasi.
What's up? What's up?
All right, we're getting this one in. We're burning the midnight oil on
Yeah,
Thursday.
I apologize, man.
Busy week. No,
Such a busy week. Yeah.
well, we were off 2 days, less, of course, before we get piled on for that. But
Yeah. Right.
and then, but today was a busy day. Blood drive. And I don't want to freak you out. Then staff meeting. I had cross country. Then you had your daughter's events. I had JV football. So, but we're getting it. We're in here. Feedback and errors from last week. Gary Bailey, and we might have to have him explain this a little bit. We decided we're not going to. He made a comment on the page that apple cider is not a vegetarian dish.
Yeah.
I need some clarification on that. My wife needs some clarification on it because I don't know what that means. So we'll have to have him, because I was the one that did the laugh emoji. I'll take full ownership. We both run the page.
Yeah.
I did the laugh emoji, and he goes, "It's not a joke." I can hear the comment in my ears. I can hear the comment in my ears.
Yeah, he's not happy with you.
I don't think Max was very happy too either when we used the term malpractice. Didn't he call us out on?
He did. We pissed the Baileys off in multiple ways here.
Generational.
He didn't. Max also didn't like my "how we doing" comment, and I actually took a lot of heat for that one. I'll get into that after. But Max has been all over us lately.
Yeah, his line was, "I never said malpractice," which we didn't. We mentioned hyperbole and said that that it was, but I could hear the hint of malpractice in his text. He was very disappointed. That's like the old line, like when you're a parent. I wasn't angry at you, I was just disappointed. He was very disappointed.
He was very disappointed. Yes,
in our knowledge of Zello.
Yeah.
Not
Zillow. Zello. Yes.
Zello. Yes.
Yeah.
We also got some response just recently, just earlier today, right, from Jill Burguy.
Yep.
Bruh. She wants us to put an end to bruh.
Bruh.
Which, by the way, remember, were you in the press box the night that, speaking of Max Bailey, his youngest kid texted him a bruh? Remember that?
Bruh. Max was not happy about that, bruh.
He was not happy, and I actually announced it over the PA. Ironically, we've come full circle.
Yeah.
She says that she wants her underrated fall thing, bonfires, and they talked, and I do remember this. Back in the day, schools used to have them as part of their homecoming week, way back in the day. Nowadays, the last thing you want to do is put a bunch of teenagers together and burn something to the ground.
Doesn't seem like a good idea. Yeah.
I think like in the past, they used to like burn floats and stuff. Like it was like after homecoming.
Oh.
I thought that was like what some of these schools did. I don't know, maybe. No, not Carlson. I don't know, but you. Did they do that?
No, we didn't do it at Kennedy. No.
No, we weren't doing that.
A lot of jokes here. I'll save them though.
Yeah, we're not. But I want nothing to do with that, Jill. Absolutely nothing. And in all honesty, I'm not a big fire guy. Outdoor. It's the smoke always follows me.
It follows me everywhere I go, man. I hate them.
You stink. I know they have these fancy fire pits now that don't have the smoke or whatever, but that loses all the. That's lame. Like either have the fire or don't.
Listen, since I'm on the couch here, right?
Yeah.
Even though I'm really not. It's metaphorical, Max. I don't need you yelling at me about not literally being on the couch. So I have never understood what the draw is to just stare at a fire. It's really odd to me.
It's cold, miserable. I don't understand. It's cold, miserable outside. Like I have this beautiful, great room here. There's a fireplace right there, by the way, a gas fireplace.
Yeah. You and I can go sit by it and conduct the show.
Yes, I have a TV. Like I can be watching Thursday Night Football, and there's people that will be like out in the garage. I don't understand.
No mosquitoes. You have to fight the mosquitoes in your.
Or even when it's cold. Like I'll be outside for Halloween to hand out candy, but like I got a fireplace right here. I got a comfortable couch. I don't know. I guess I'm not an alpha man.
Yeah. Likewise. Not that anybody thought we were. So
no.
We're not.
This isn't an outdoor podcast.
Yeah. All right. Antoine and Deontay are a full agreement on apple orchards being overrated, especially the bees. To quote Antoine, them bees do be on the BS. So,
I like that.
Yes.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Absolutely. Too much time. Okay, Deontay, too much time on your hands with that hot mic take, or you're officially the get off my lawn guy.
Who's that? Who was
So
that? You
that
or
was
me?
Deontay. Yeah, the get off the hot mic take about how we doing.
Oh,
Max
okay.
you Max uses that greeting to kids all the time, he said. Um Moon's over my hammy. Drew some laughs. Moon's over my hammy. Twan, do you remember that? Those two guys must have hit up the Denny's late at night for Moon's over my hammy. So
I just repeated our story today to like Bill Zachary. We're talking about just like getting older and things, and I did that same line about like the idea of staying up from 9 to 3 in the morning to me is I feel as if I'd be in a coma for 3 days afterwards.
yeah.
Currently,
Yeah, right, right. Gary Bailey, also back to him. How we doing means are you and I okay? Friends, no problems, no issues. So a little bit deeper on that one.
okay. Translation.
Um, yeah, Tony Saavedra, how are you doing is asking how you are doing, but also saying how you are doing will impact how I'm doing
Yeah,
from the
a lot
sense
of
of
linguists,
empathy.
a lot of
Yeah,
linguists in
that's a
the
good one. That's a
audience today.
Tony being Tony.
Yeah,
Max is a little bit of a curmudgeon. Tony is like really
yeah,
really cool and friendly. So, and those two guys, by the way, same Carlson. They're part of the Carlson boys coaching staff, and so they're gonna be
yeah,
working together. So
yes.
maybe Tony will rub off on Max a little bit. We're getting we're gonna get hammered on this one. That's so funny. So,
You got any others to give back to us?
I definitely Tony again. I definitely agree. Picking apples, dealing with bees is overrated. That was the first thing that came to my mind when it was brought up. As for underrated, I would pick haunted hay rides. They are things that used to be done by the firefighters at Lake Erie Metro Park.
Oh,
Um,
and Max did confirm our like JCs and like like different groups having those and the trailers.
yeah,
The
yes.
fire the speaking of fires.
Yes. Tony Saavedra, Elizabeth agreed. I like that. In healthcare, they use the how we doing a lot. Definitely guilty of using it with my patients. How they are doing will impact how I'm doing. So, they made me come correct on that one. So for all the people that like how I'm doing, my apologies. That's how we
Okay,
doing is it works. So I
it's
was
back.
off.
All right.
Yes, it's back.
Anything else? Are we good? Are we ready for my mic of the week?
I think we're good. Yes,
All
let's
right,
go.
my mic of the week. It is getting very close to election time. We're what, about 2 weeks away? A little over 2 weeks. 2 weeks from
No.
Tuesday. Less than 2 weeks.
Wait a minute. No, it's a week from Tuesday.
Holy cow! My goodness.
Man, it's coming up, man.
Yes, and so my mic of the week is the current. You know where I'm going with this?
No, I was thinking
Oh,
Michael Dukakis, but I think you
we
already
had
made
him
the.
already.
He did.
We have his picture in the tent,
Okay.
the tank
The
right up the road.
we're
At
not we're not outdoorsing it on this one.
no,
No.
no. This person's a little more current. It would be if you're the AP government teacher. This
Yeah.
person would be third in the line of succession if terrible things were to happen in DC.
Oh, okay.
You
All
know who
right.
it is?
Yes, I do.
It
Fire
is
away.
from Louisiana, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, 52 years old.
I thought you
Uh,
were gonna go with Mike Rogers.
no,
Um, but okay,
the
Mike
the
Johnson.
guy, the guy from Florida running for Senate here in Michigan. Is that who
Yeah.
we're talking about? Okay,
Hmm.
interesting. Yeah, no, Mike Johnson, 52. I think I looked up today on Wikipedia, has 5 or 6 children from Shreveport, Louisiana.
Hmm.
Um, Multiple degrees, a lawyer by, so not anti-intellectual. Uh,
Can I interrupt you for a second? What did you say
yes.
he was in line for the presidency?
Did I say,
I
well,
think you said
second?
third.
Second,
I'm
I mean, I'm
asking.
sorry.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
You're right.
My
I'm sorry.
apologies.
That's a miss. That was a miss for me.
Gotcha.
As late.
I'm not
He's
being that
actually,
guy either.
yes. No, no, no. He's second in line.
Right.
He's currently in the third spot,
Yeah.
is what I twisted myself up with. Of course, the Speaker of the
Yes.
House is behind the Vice President. So yeah, Mike Johnson, 52, Speaker of the House, always, at least on the Republican side, a dangerous position to hold. And possibly, according to some polls, it sounds like, but of course, who knows? We're going to talk about this later in the show. Who knows what's really going on? But that's one that they're saying that the Democrats might win back, even if they don't win the presidency, just
Yeah.
because some of these New York and California races may flip back because it's very close. It's amazing how close it is. Do you think there'll be drama if the Democrats win, who their speaker will be?
I'm having a hard time with the show right now. Do I think there'll be drama? No. What do you think? I mean,
I think Hakeem
Hakeem
Jeffries
Jeffries, it
was a
has to be
lock.
right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he'd be a lock. So that's just somehow, for some reason, there's a little less drama there. But who knows? That we'll find out in less than 2 weeks. But
Yeah.
that is my Mike of the Week, Mike Johnson out of Shreveport, Louisiana. I read his history is a little interesting too. Is something about his father was like a fireman or something, and he got injured in a blaze and then did some fundraising for burn victims. Pretty interesting stuff. So, all right, education topic. It's that time of year where how many people have asked you to write letters of rec? Do you mind me asking?
It happens all the
Zero?
time. I mean, I did
Oh,
two of
okay.
them today. I
Yeah,
did two
so
today.
the common apps are going. I know this firsthand because my son has been applied. By the way, congratulations to Nate, accepted to Pitt the other night, University of
Oh,
Pittsburgh, who's
really?
playing Syracuse right now in a pretty big football game. So he
Okay.
was very pumped about that. So it's letter of rec time. I just wrote one of mine for one of my cross country athletes and uploaded it to the Common App. Um, so I just wanted to talk about like what your tips are to seniors or possibly even juniors. It's never too early to start some of the stuff and getting it together. As a matter of fact, if you get on the ball and get stuff together, at least line some people up, you're better off. So, what tips do you have for those seniors that are trying to get their Common App together on your end as someone that writes these and gets these and see these all the time? That's what we want to talk about today, education wise. So, what do you have for the audience?
Okay, so what the kids will do when they want these letters of recommendation, they will come to me and say, "Hey, I have this paper," and they'll want me just to look at the paper, write them a letter. I said the paper is helpful, but I need you.
Yes.
So for starters, I need you there. I want you to help me write this thing. I have a template that I use, but we have to personalize it to you. And I'm really, frankly, not that interested in reading a paper. I want to know. So I think as you go into these writing these letters of recommendation, as best you can. And obviously, again, we've talked about this before. You don't have to know what you're going to do, but if you have a general idea, this is what I want to know from you. If you're going to be a teacher, what I want to know from you is what are your leadership capabilities? What leadership things have you involved yourself in? If you're going into it, so the field you're going into, I think is if you know is super helpful because now I could tailor it and craft it to hopefully where your direction is going to go. So again, to highlight those skills that you might need going forward into whatever endeavor you decide to go to. So I think that's step one. Step two is again, grade point average is very important. I'm not minimizing that. I'm sure you're going to agree with this, but again, involve yourself in as many things as possible to show how well-rounded you could be. Go ahead, Mike.
Not to jump in. No, I don't.
Yeah,
I never put the grade point in a letter of rec ever.
yeah,
The
right.
kids, it'll be on that form. I have never written student X has a 3.78 GPA,
Sure.
which is amazing. I never do it. So I don't need it. Don't put it in that thing.
Right. And you've been on interview committees for teachers that I cannot. I've been on a lot. I have never once looked at this person's college transcripts and said, I got to find out what grades this person got because
Exactly.
that's not, you know what I mean? So everything else becomes more important for me as I'm writing them. I want to know about you. I want to know what this is for. Are you applying for scholarships? Think about what is your objective coming to me? Do you just need this to graduate? Because if you just graduate, I'll put something together real good. But if you need this for scholarships, if you need this, what type of scholarship are we going for? So all of those things are things you have to think about that a little piece of paper that you fill in a couple answers aren't going to help. I want to know about you. I want to know what we're doing. Those are the things you have to think about as you go into this letter writing endeavor. So
I
that's
think those are
that's for
some
me.
great tips. Something I want to just add in there. First of all, I sort of hinted at it when we started this. Don't pin teachers into a tight window.
Yeah.
Ask this well in advance or
Mhm.
in time. Like I always like, and I don't get it asked as much because of course I've lost touch with the classroom, but I coach cross country. I have student council kids and I'll have once in a while a library kid a lot of times it's my cross country kids. Like I wrote Ariana Pate letters, last year, but she's also student council. The letter I wrote just this year already was for Riley Saluski, 4-year varsity athlete of mine. So of course, they're going to ask coaches for that. Um, I always the first thing I ask when a person asks me is like, when do you need it by? That's the first thing I ask
Yeah.
because as I mentioned on here, if it's a time frame that I can't hit, I'm going to say I'm sorry I can't do it. I'm going to be totally honest.
Right.
I know we might get some jokes now about like my schedule or whatever, but in all honesty, like if someone handed me a letter on Monday or we didn't have school, but let's say they, on a normal week, if they handed me a thing on Monday and said, I need this by Thursday night, I couldn't do it.
Right.
I mean, I could do it. I just wouldn't be happy with what I produced.
Right.
That's the way I am. So the first thing is my advice is when your senior year starting, you should line up some people that you've had relationships with and get this out of the way early. I know Nate did that, I think, because Chloe gave him some advice to get started. That's my first bit of advice. If we start getting into late October and in the next week or two where the October is really application month, right? Like now it's starting to get late and then scholarship. So I again give the person time. The back to the document you're talking about, um, you know, have a good document. To me, I almost like it more of like an outline form than writing. Like just go, hey, ninth grade, this is what I was involved in. 10th grade, this is what I was involved in. The only reason I do like those is because if I know the person somewhat, but oh, I didn't realize this person did BPA for all 4 years. Okay, I know they're
Right.
in BPA now. So I can say something like a 4-year BPA member. So I don't need like long paragraphs, just a bulleted thing of your
Yeah.
bio.
And but the reason, see, what I have found when you bring somebody in, I did one recently for a girl who did this on her own time. It was a volunteer thing she did with fighting anti-Semitism. And it was through a branch of the Anti-Defamation League, and she didn't realize it wasn't on that form. I think a lot of times when you bring people in, I think students have done more than they realize, and
Mhm.
so that's another
Yeah.
reason why I like to I dig in your brain a little bit. I think when they fill this paper out, I think it's
Yes.
just another worksheet for them to do. That's
No,
why I like to talk to them
I
first.
say take your time and actually have
Yeah.
it as an electronic document so that you can add to it and it's easy to follow. If you just
Yeah.
throw it together, and I agree with you. My other thing is, and again, d- a letter of a good letter of recommendation is better. And I know and again, I don't, the ones I've written, and again, I'm very fortunate that I guess have a limited work relationship with students. So the people that ask me are usually people I have pretty good relationships with. Back when I was in the classroom, it was a lot harder because, you know, and I'm not trying to downplay anything. There's just certain kids you have stronger, better relationships with, and the letter's just easier to write,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm not trying, like I know this, like I know Ariana very well. The writing that letter
Mhm.
was, I didn't really even need the info sheet. I know Riley very well. I've coached her for 4 years. I've talked about her, even though I'm not the BPA sponsor, we've talked about BPA throughout the years and all this stuff. So find those people. Every kid has that person or two.
Right.
Go to that person first. All
Yeah.
right. Like they're going to give you the best letter. They're going to give you the best letter. Um, yeah, so those are my three things. Again, really important, tying into what you said too, but really important. uh, Don't pin people and say, I need this by Thursday.
Right. Right.
You're not going to get a good product. And then also, and I don't know how you do it. I finish my letter. And this is how I do with all my writing. I finish it, set it aside for one day, read it the next day, again, just so that I'm detached from it, not on my screen, like print it up, read it with a pen. And then I'm like, okay, if there's no mistakes or if I feel it's ready, I then call the person up and I give them that printed copy and I say, read this and let me know if there's anything you want
Yeah.
changed or if you don't like it. I don't sign it at this point.
Right.
And sometimes people don't, like, I'm like, no, I'm serious. Do this. You're not going to offend me. And I want to know if there's something you feel is wrong. So that's just something
Mhm.
I do on my end too with the letters. Before I don't just immediately upload it to you know, a
It's
common app
exactly
or
what I do. I do the exact same thing. I give it to whatever you think can be added to this. I always tell them that. I ask them to take it home to their parents, look it over too, and we can kind of come together. I also have sometimes a colleague. You have done it for me in the past. Peer edit it as well.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, lots of there's a lot that goes into this process.
Yep, yep. All right. Overrated and underrated is sort of going to fall right into the same thing. It's your resume, creating a resume. We talked a little bit about this a couple episodes ago about talking about how resumes are sort of open that door, but it's the interview, right, that gets it done. So, what do you have as your overrated as far as resumes slash? We said resumes slash references. Feels right along this line of letter reference. So, what do you got?
Yeah, I think what's overrated just in general is Oh, again, I'm going to narrow this focus to the more of the educational field. You mentioned it. I've mentioned it. Again, I'm not saying GPA doesn't matter, but I'm going back to that. I'm falling back to that because more and more what I'm seeing is different organizations, different colleges, they're not looking at that as much. So my overrated is going to be just that. I think the focus on grades, we see it in school. The focus on grades becomes so much so that it detaches from learning sometimes. And I see the same thing with resumes. So again, when I've been on this end of things, that is the last thing that I'm worried about. And so to me, the GPA is the overrated part of it.
My overrated is if you ever, and I haven't, man, I can't even remember the last time you should revise your resume every once in a while. We've been both in our positions so long. And it's interesting when when I see things that pop up, whether it be on TikTok or articles, good versus bad resumes. And it always seems like, and I get it, there's HR specialists out there and everything, and there's recruiters and all this stuff. But like sometimes I look at these and I can't tell the difference between one, like the rules are constantly changing. I guess
Yeah.
like 1 minute it's this, 1 minute it's that. And to me, I always felt like, and one thing I'm happy to see is that what's in our brief resumes. Like for a while, it was always like, oh, write this objective statement that's this long, and 2 pages of a And now I think what's more in are like brief. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes I even see the objective statements gone because to me that was always dumb too. Like
Yeah.
well, the objective is to get a damn job.
Right.
That's the
Obviously.
objective.
Right.
Like why do I need to write this here? And and I'm seeing more thing, and I don't know. I guess just overrated is the whole, what's bad and what's good. To me, clear, concise information that doesn't have any errors is probably your best bet.
Mhm.
So, all right, what do you got as underrated?
All right, so this one was tricky.
It is.
I really had a hard time. I guess I kind of looked up some different things. I was going to go again the route of trying to find skills that sort of match whatever job you're going to. I think an underrated part of resumes though is, and I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. We don't do it, and I don't know if this is an updated thing. What are your personal characteristics that will help you get this job and help you succeed on this job and make this person want to hire you? And I don't mean the characteristics of, I mean, the common ones, dependability and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
are you a person? How do I find out if you're a person that wants to stay up to date on the latest information? You're going to be a history teacher. Do you look into historical arguments? Like those are type of things that just generally are not included. I don't know how you do that specifically, but to me, what are the what is the essence that you have that can let me know as a person hiring you that sets you apart from others? That's to me, if you could somehow put that on a resume, that I think would be great.
We didn't talk about this at all, but it's sort of going to go connect with yours. My underrated, and this is sometimes what I see as like bad resumes have these. I like the interest slash hobbies because I think
Yeah,
it ties into exactly what you're talking about. It's not where you went to school. It's not what your technical
right.
abilities are. If you tell me what the things are that you do outside of your career path, how that sort of hints to me is what in the exact one of the ways to get at what you're looking at. What are the things you do outside of the workday? And I always like that part of a resume.
Yeah,
And again, things that didn't have anything to do with being an educator, and single words, just what it is you like to do. And I like that. I like that because I like to because I might not even be into the same hobbies or interests you are, but I can use them as talking points in an interview to say, oh, hey, you like to hunt, or oh, hey, you like to, podcast.
right.
Tell me a little bit about that. And so though that to me is what's really underrated and I think should stay in resumes. If I was a hiring manager, I'm not an HR person, but
Yeah, and it's funny. And I think you just articulated it better than I did. I'm thinking about a recent hire. She actually left a couple years ago, but Ms. Dollarber, who
mhm,
congratulations to her. I don't know. I don't think she's a listener, but just had a baby. But she was very big into anime type stuff.
mhm.
and she connected with those kids, and that was
Yeah,
something that she was wonderful. She was great on the job. She was wonderful, wonderful colleague to have. So those are the type of things, from the teaching perspective, this person's going to connect with those type of kids, whatever. And when I say those type of kids, it could be in anything, whether it's coaching, athletes, or whatever the case may be. This way we know, okay, this person is going to really hit that demographic of students. So I think that's super important.
I think we hit it out of the park with this one. Well done.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Hot mic take. What do you got this week?
All right.
Hopefully,
So
it's not
I
lingo or
no,
terminology.
I've been Max took some heat from us. I actually am changing my hot mic. I'm gonna save my we're just gonna talk about foreign exchange students today, but I'm gonna save that one for next week.
Okay.
I am going to Max just sent me a text it's pretty interesting.
Also, we're changing on the fly.
I'm changing on the fly. And I am for a reason actually, because there's a postscript to the first part that gets to the second part. But I want to mention I have found myself recently at sporting events spending more and more time alone. And I'm curious if others feel this way. And so Max just sent me this. This is not his, this is a tweet from a parent of some sort, I believe. Why do some sports parents sit alone? No drama, no complaining. They don't like hearing the ignorance, no bad mouthing coaches and officials. They often just want to watch and enjoy the game, be a part of the solution, not the problem. Um, I couldn't agree with that more. And as a second part, as a postscript, so for starters, I'm wondering, I don't know if you do this at all or not, but it's something I'm finding myself doing more and more, just enjoying the
I
solitude
did
of
it. I did
watching.
it during for Nate's basketball career. Of course, I was working home games, uh, uh, but away. I did. I used to, and people, and Elisa used people. She's like, "You're being antisocial." I'm like, "No, I just don't want to. I just want to sit alone." And not because I was being obnoxious. I just sat there and took it in, and that was it.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it.
So postscript to this, and I didn't even tell you this story. I told a couple other people. I am I'm sitting by myself in between games, and I had the first couple of games were a little heated, so I'm sort of kind of calming down, and a gentleman comes and just sits by me, and this has happened actually a couple times recently where people just start talking to me, and I don't know if this
Yes,
person felt a connection that, hey, this guy's sitting alone, so am I. We
that's why I
start
need to wear
talking.
earbuds.
Well, this is kind of cool though. And a little scary at the same time. So we start talking. He's from Lansing.
Okay.
And so, I said, oh, what do you think? The big game is coming up this
Yeah.
weekend. What do you think? And as it turns out, he's done a lot of work for the university, at Michigan State University.
Okay.
And without going into too much detail, his daughter was on the gymnastics team.
Oh my
On the
God.
lab.
Oh,
Yeah, you see
geez.
where,
Yeah.
and man, fortunately, I'll say this now, she wasn't a victim.
Okay.
Okay. But man, it just hit me again.
Yeah.
You never know who you're talking to.
You
It
never
it,
know.
it
Huh?
was unbelievable.
Yep.
The story he told, and just his connection there. He's been announcing this for 25 years, and yeah. So two-part story. My hot mic. The first part again is this the sitting alone, and it led me to this conversation with this person, and man, yeah, quite a informational meeting I had discussion I had with this guy.
Yeah.
So
That now see that is nice. Now I feel bad about saying that. Put your earbuds in. That's
no, it's okay. It's okay.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I just got a text too as this is going on, and it's Nate sending me Pitt with a shocked eyes emoji. And then I opened the they're up 31-0 over Syracuse at the half. But people were downplaying them as an ACC champion in the playoff team. They are doing quite well tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Will Michigan
Look
score
at Pitt.
31 points this weekend?
No.
No. Okay.
Will they score 31 the next three games combined? That's a better question.
All right, my hot mic take. This comes up the Tuesday night. I had to pick up Elisa and Nate at the airport, and while I was sitting there, former President Obama's motorcade went flying by. I mean, literally right behind me. I was in the north. No, I was in the the smaller terminal cell phone lot, and they basically went right down the service drive, right on to 94. And and then as I was sitting there, I was watching TikToks of people waiting in line for the rally downtown. Mike, and we're both, I would say, if you put us on a scale of 1, 0 involvement and interest in politics, and 10 being rabid political junkies, I would put us what, like 6, 7, 8-ish, 8 at the most, maybe. You know,
At the most, I've seen it.
yeah,
It's ruined too many relationships
yeah.
here
But I'm just saying,
recently.
like, even like getting, yard signs, ban like that sort of thing, right? Like we care, we're gonna vote, but
Hmm.
I don't, I'm not gonna be wailing on Wednesday or Thursday morning if someone doesn't win or lose, you know what I mean? It's sort of, and I won't be, throwing away my yard signs and all this.
I'm not interested in like dialoguing with most people about this, so I'm not. I
Yeah.
haven't put a yard
But
sign.
but
I
here's the
put.
point.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Would you I could not go to a rally. I could, even if it was someone that I absolutely loved. I couldn't do it. I couldn't wait in that long line just to stand in that room and have. I don't have, and I'm not knocking anyone that does it because it's great that people go do it. I have no desire for it. Now, full disclosure, the old, this thing right up here, the Obama meeting, that was much different. That was that was a pre-screened closed event that we got into that there was only like about 40 or 50 people, that there's no line to wait in. We got to, they told us where we had to be. They put us on a bus and they took us out there.
Yeah,
Uh, that I had no problem with
right.
because I didn't have to park. I didn't have to wait in line. I didn't have to throw elbows. And it was a much more obviously one-on-one thing. And Obama, and I'll come right out and say it. Obama, like even if Obama, if he was at this rally, and if I didn't have to
Hmm.
pick up Elisa and Nate, I wouldn't have wanted to go. I wouldn't want to go to it. As much as I would love to hear him speak again in person, the time and the crowd and the parking, it's just too much for me.
It's not worth it. I've been to two. One of them was within walking distance of where I grew up in Taylor.
Is that John
So that
Kerry?
that was John Kerry.
Okay.
And then later on, I went to one that had I by accident. What happened was I got this email. I'm like, yeah, what the heck? I'll try it. So I drove down and pull into this very guarded area, and I said, I got a paper. I'm invited. And the guy was like, all right, come on in. And I looked, and the cars that I had a Ford Fusion, and
Yeah.
surrounding me was every luxury vehicle
Yeah.
imaginable. And it just clicked. I'm not supposed to be here, but
Whatever. They let you in.
whatever. Yeah. So I was able to get decently close, but even at that time, I was like, man, this is not worth it. It's not. So and yeah, I'm
Yeah, and
never again.
again, it's just, and I guess I'm talking on the presidential level. I would probably go see something like locally for Darren. We talked about wanting to go to his fiesta one of these times, but that's a fundraiser. That's different. But like I'm talking about these things where like if you're at a Huntington Place and there's thousands of people and you're just standing in there, and it's not my thing.
Right.
No
I'm with
offense
you.
to those that want to do it, that want to go do it. I don't even want to watch them really. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like maybe I who's watching these? The
It's the
undecided?
same, right. It's the same thing over and over again. It's,
Yes. All right. Well, that's my hot mic. All right. Picks. I wrote them down again this week. So that way we are, you had a special guest over your shoulder just a
yeah, I
second ago.
saw. Mhm.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to do these, I think, in order of, um, really in order of usually the importance. Okay. You ready?
All
I
right.
got Detroit Lions home versus Tennessee.
Lions 31, Tennessee 14.
I like that. I'll just go right along with that. Should I start Goff or Kyler Murray?
All right, what's next?
Next, Pittsburgh Monday night versus the Giants. Are they going to dash the hearts of everyone in New York 2 weeks in a row?
Yes.
I say yes too. I was right. No, I think I picked the Jets last week. I thought the Rodgers
You
were going to dice
did.
them up. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
wrong on everything. I picked Minnesota too. I am picking them to beat the Giants this week. If they beat the Jets, they can definitely beat the Giants. All right.
Pittsburgh 27-20. There's my prediction.
Okay. Ross is cooking. All right. Big game tomorrow night or Saturday. Well, tomorrow night, if we're talking about
Tomorrow
when
night,
this
yeah.
airs. University of Michigan versus MSU. I'm not buying into all this hype that Michigan State is back and Michigan's so bad. I think there's too much of that. Michigan's going to win this game. It's going to be pretty easy. Not a ton of points, but they're going to win the game.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, like
You
over
got
10 points. Over 10 points.
really. I mean, are you sure Michigan's going to score
I
10
think
points?
man, people have short memories. Okay, State did. I was shocked. Remember, we had the joke about the 6-3 Iowa game. That was actually a lot of points for
Yeah, it
both
was.
teams.
Right.
Uh, okay, that was one game. It was Iowa. I just think that people are like we were at that Michigan State the Michigan State games the last 2 years. I get it. Michigan was much better. There was a huge difference, and I get and maybe Michigan State has the better quarterback. Maybe I think people are they're too quick to pile on and bury Michigan is what I'm saying.
Mike, they have a better quarterback. They have better receivers. I, I mean, I'm going to go Michigan, but that's just kind of my heart talking 17-13.
Okay, and now we're not going to wait till next week. I'm putting you on the spot with this presidential election. I want to know who's winning the state of Michigan and who's winning the electoral college. Who do you got in the state of Michigan?
You go first.
Me first. Me first. I have Vice President Harris winning the state of Michigan. I still think that if you look at what happened in 2022,
Mhm.
what the Democratic Party did and their ground, and they're much more organized. I think the get out the vote in the blue cities, the blue areas, Detroit, Oakland County. I can't believe I'm saying that as a kid that grew up here
I
in the
know, I know,
80s.
I know. It's
Oakland
crazy.
County, Ann Arbor, Grand Rapids. Again, can't believe I'm saying these
Right.
things. I think that when you have your top three executive positions are all Democrats that won pretty easily to just 2 years ago, I think that's just too big of a mountain to overcome. And I think that 2 points, it's going to be. If you go back and look at 20 and 16, how close all these states were, even though Biden won the electoral college by quote unquote a lot. But you look at the numbers in the states, it wasn't a referendum. It
No,
wasn't.
it was not at all.
So I think that he's able to hold like 2 points, 2.5 to 3 points, a win here in Michigan.
All right, Kamala will win Michigan. I think it'll be closer than you're saying. I think it'll be 1 to 1.5 at the most, but I think she
Okay.
will win Michigan.
Yeah, I think they're. I think if you if you look at the early voting numbers from Detroit, it's actually pretty good what they're
L-
doing.
Let's do okay. Let's do first popular vote, then electoral college overall. Popular
Popular
vote
vote, Kamala Harris will win that less than what Biden won,
more than
but will
Hillary.
win it. What did she win by? Two?
Was it 2 million? I think 2 or 3 million. I'm
Two.
gonna
I'm
say two
talking
million.
percent. Well,
12.
I'm just gonna get to it. I think she loses the electoral college. I have a bad vibe in Pennsylvania. That's my.
Okay.
That's my. And then I think like she loses. She's not going to keep Georgia. She's not going to keep Arizona. So it's just too much. And then Pennsylvania is where it's going to be. It's going to be it, and I don't know I don't think anything could be done any different. Like I said, in the summer when we talked, I would have thought she probably would Biden would have lost all these states anyway. So I read somewhere today that, you know, the Democratic Party should be happy where they are. I've also read other things that were like crazy that were doing this doom and gloom, and she's gonna will run away to a victory, but I'm not buying it.
It's not going to be a runaway victory. I'm with you. If every day, almost literally, my feelings on this have changed. I don't know why. I don't know if it's a feeling. I don't know if it's where I'm driving. But right now, I see her winning the popular vote by 2 to 3 million votes, but I see him winning the electoral college very
All right.
close.
Well, there you go. We're on the record. We'll see if we were wrong and James Carville is right and all that other stuff. I think the problem right now is all these people with polls and looking at 2020 and how many people voted early. First of all, 2020 was COVID was still going on, so I think the number of people voting early, it's hard. You can't. It's a lot of comparing apples and oranges.
It really
So,
is. It really
so
is.
you, so
Yes.
saying what happened in 2020, you don't know. And you know, polls. I don't know if I'll ever trust polls again, just because. And we talked about this too. I ignore them. I don't answer them ever.
And we were also in the middle of, remember 2020, the other part was we were still coming off the George Floyd summer. So COVID was here. It was a whole different, it was a different world, frankly, than right now. So I think that's something that what happened in 2020 right now has no bearing. I think
All
that
right.
apples and
Well,
oranges, it's not even the same
well,
planet.
we'll see. The week of that week, we will have to record. Well, we probably won't with the election day and the way we record. I bet we don't have a president Wednesday.
No.
president-elect. So we're probably not going to be able to record. I mean, I guess we could be wrong, but we're probably not going to be able to do it till the next week. We also have coming up, it's in November, is our anniversary show.
3 years.
Are we going to try to do this live, like where we do this?
We haven't talked about it yet, but
We should
yeah,
try. We need to do like a test run episode. Maybe we do that next week. We do the test run live episode and see if it works for just like a quick little mini episode for next week.
okay.
And that way we'll know if we can do it for the big anniversary. Maybe that's what we should try to do.
All right,
Does that sound
listeners.
good?
So Gary Bailey,
Yeah. So
we want to hear from you.
we'll put it on the Facebook page of when we're going to actually go and do this, just to see if it works, the
Okay.
live one, and then we'll definitely put on the Facebook page when we do our normal open invite. Guests can come on. Gary Bailey, the Ren Dog, anyone that wants to come on. Chloe out in Ann Arbor, Nadia down in Columbus,
The Pates,
Ariana Pate out in Ann Arbor. She tried to donate blood today in honor of the blood drive we had today. So
Antoine, it hasn't been on yet.
Antoine, Dr. Terry.
Dr. Terry can come back. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, none of our previous guests have been banned.
Nope.
Dr. Rice, Dr. Michael Rice.
maybe Mr. Georgie could pop in.
Rocco, Georgie, Kelly Warren.
Yeah, Kelly Warren
From Mr. Walavera,
the Allen Park Posse, APP.
There we go. We're coming up to be that time of year. So we love when we have the pop-in guests, and we'll see if we might do it live. Who knows? All right, everybody, have a great week, and we will see you next week.